Hey, what a flippity flap though. This is Stranger of Big Moose. And guys, we're here just to talk about the Predecessor early access frequently asked questions that came out. I'm kind of mind blown. This was dropped right before we did the cutting to the core, and here we are. So let's get right into it. It is a bit lengthy, but we'll go through each question. We'll just dive and give a little bit of our opinion there. So, uh, what servers will be there for early access with additional servers being added throughout early access? So it says that the only servers that will be up are NA West, NA East, Europe, and Asia. I'm actually really surprised that they're going to have an Asia server up. I really don't think Predecessor has much of a Eastern market at the moment, but I am excited, as we have shown over the last little bit, that they are by far the largest market in the Paragon refugee community at the moment. So I'm glad they're going to take steps toward making that happen. And I unfortunately don't have a Oceania server, aka Australia server. So I guess all the Australians are just going to have to play on the Asia server. So maybe that's why. But we did see the Oceania servers open with fault, right? And they were just dead from the get go. So there is that. The South American, I'm really surprised they don't have that server. There's actually quite a strong community there of about 100, 200 people. It's nothing crazy, but I'm surprised because it would actually populate at least for the first few months of the game, right? How long is early access expected to last? Currently, we do not have a fixed time frame for early access, but we're looking for 6 to 12 months. And then our goal, and then they go on to add actually, our goal with early access is to prepare for free to play, which means implementing features like onboarding tutorial and player progression alongside addressing player feedback. So basically, what it means is we know it's going to be 6 months to a year. I think that's a pretty short timeline for EA. Most games nowadays do go longer, especially when they're going to console. As with Sony at the moment, when you are on early access, you don't have to pay for patches when you're in early access, but you do when you're full release, believe it or not. So if they're trying to push their way to console, I'm really surprised they're only going for a year. However, I do agree that the free-to-play model is better, so maybe that's why they're doing it, as they are continuing. Where early access has private/custom games to play with friends or make custom tournaments. It won't on launch. A bit unfortunate, but they did make it very clear that the game is truly just gameplay first. And that's the vision that they're going with. These systems are going to come out, however, hopefully in a timely manner, and that's really what matters, right? So they were very open and honest. We even got a video from the CEO of Ameda Studios that this stuff's not in. They're really focused on the gameplay first, which is fine as long as the gameplay is good. So as long as you can jump to a match fairly comfortably on ping, optimization, and just the gameplay itself, making sure that it's fun and competitive in a certain sense, I think it'll be okay. Um, and they're going to add in these systems like custom games, like player onboarding, player progression. Because I think it's going to be that they have public MMR in the API. I can't confirm or deny that. It's not like I know anything. It's just kind of me trying to put two and two together here. And I think that is what it's going to be, and that's what they call player progression. Is they're going to give the community opportunities, because playing for MMR, whether it is casual play or not, gives you something to progress towards, and I think that's what their plan is while they implement their actual player progression, which they also mention means you have to have a store, and the store is going to take a little bit, so they have to be able to have both those systems. They have to be able to have the store system to be able to do the progression, so that you can get stuff for your time playing and get rewarded and all that. So, what are the system requirements for early access? For full system requirements, blah blah blah. So they go on to the system requirements. Performance is at the heart of our development, and we will continue to improve and lower hardware entry for all our players. Listen, we all played that public playtest. Optimization's never been an issue with them. They're super fantastic. They've done a great job, and they've only upgraded since then. We know they've went to Unreal Engine 5, so I would expect even better than what it was. If there's anything Omeda does right, is they are by far the leading optimizers right now. To an extent, there is some stuff that I would argue is better in Overprime, but overall, the entry level for people to play the games should be anyone. Anyone's old laptop should be able to run the game, ideally. You might only get 30 FPS or 60, but it should work. Will there be ultra-wide support, monitor support? There won't be on launch. It'll be coming. We don't know when, we don't know where, or we don't we don't know when. Sorry, it'll happen. You know, it's obviously not a priority. at the moment. It'll come, right? That's one of those just quality of life features. It'll come down the line once they get the major systems in first, I assume. What accessibility options will there be during early access? Colorblind settings, nothing. At the launch of early access, we will support key rebindings for keyboard, mouse, and spellcasting options. Other accessibility options, including colorblind settings, are in the pipeline as something we want to constantly build upon over time. So basically, that's their way of saying nope, there won't be colorblind. Not right away. It's obviously down the pipeline, but again, it's another quality of life feature that will come down after we get the major systems in place. Is there any difference between buying Predecessor on Epic versus Steam? There will be no difference. Uh, yeah, the only thing is Steam offers dynamic pricing. What that means, dynamic pricing is when because they have three different bundles, right? If you buy the tier 1 bundle at $10 or $20 without the discount, you can upgrade to the tier 2 bundle with and just pay the difference in price. And that's what dynamic pricing means. So you can upgrade, no problem. So Epic actually doesn't allow that. I'm really surprised that they don't, but that's it. Will Predecessor be available to play on GeForce now? No, it's just not. That's just way down the pipeline. Will Predecessor be available on Steam Deck? They want to try it out. I'm surprised it's actively on their list, but they do go on to mention that this is not a priority for us. Don't like I pretty there. If you try to read it between the lines, I would say don't even expect it for early access. Like that's not on their list. They're console and PC first. Steam Deck is somewhere in the middle between those two. So it'll get there eventually, but they got it's definitely on their lower list of things. Will Predecessor be available to play on Linux, either through Proton on Steam or natively? No, it won't be. So unfortunately, if you can't enable Proton, or Easy Anti-Cheat doesn't work on Linux. So if you're a Linux player, you just won't be able to play the game. You will have to go back to Windows, um, which is really unfortunate. I'm really surprised they don't have that because there is a lot more Linux players, I think, than people realize. Will there be any form of public API? As gamers ourselves, we understand the value of public API and giving our community the opportunity to build their own tools, right? When we will not have it ready for the early access launch, it's something we hope to make available soon. I'm super excited for the API. For anyone who doesn't know what API is, it's basically a package, I guess, a data package that you give to your community so that they can build their own websites using the data of the Predecessor game itself. So if you wanted to have like hero builds, for example, you could build a website yourself, take their API, implement it, and it would update the recommended hero build on your website depending on what the top 1% are using in current MMR, for example. That's pretty cool. I think that's awesome. It really shows the meta and stuff like that, right? And it would show all your stats and everything, whatever they have in the API. We're not entirely sure. Will the API be open enough to track ELOs? Public. They said ELO will be visible in the API. Gore.gg's coming back, I guess. The thing is, though, is I think that's kind of necessary. Believe it or not, I was really giving a lot of thought. I think I'm beginning it shouldn't be, right? And I think that's where Omeda's kind of being a bit smart about it. I think the API is going to get released when we're halfway through EA. I would assume it's not going to come right away at the beginning. I think that'd be kind of nuts. Because the second you add MMR, whether it's a casual queue or not, whether it's on a third-party website or not, it changes the way people play, and it increases toxicity. It's normal. It's a given. Everyone knows it happens. You start playing for elo and everything. It does give people something to play for. Even the most casual players love to see their elo go up. But that's it, man. It changes the nature of the game because it changes the way the community perspective of the game. So they got to be really careful with this one, guys, because I'm just worried. I'm just worried. We know this community can be hyper toxic at times. Maybe some would argue that it's on the same level as other games like League of Legends, which is pretty toxic at times as well. But we'll see. We'll see what they do. I really hope they're careful with this, and I hope when they release that part of the API that they're damn close to having a ranked play themselves. I that's what I'm hoping. So, Are esports tournaments being considered for Predecessor? Throughout early access, we are focusing on delivering a number of features that support competitive and tournament play, such as custom games and spectator mode. Having known Paragon esports players on our team, we do have plans to explore our official Predecessor esports tournament, but it's too early to commit to anything except the features needed to support it. So basically, that's their way of saying, listen, we'll get you spectator, we'll get you custom games. The rest is up to you. We're not gonna fund you. We're not gonna sponsor you. All that stuff. I am a little bit disappointed in that regard. I'd really love to be able to get some kind of sponsor in a sense. And what I mean by sponsor is I don't expect them to give me money in an early access. I think that really is more for a full release. But I have done tournaments in the past, and I have already talked with my colleagues there about trying to do another one. And we're actively watching it to know when custom games and all that are coming in so that we can have a good production quality and make it happen. And from the way it sounds, they're not even going to retweet us, and that's something I am a bit disappointed about. And that's just the wordage they use. I think they will. Like hit you with a tweet, hit you with a Facebook post, throw it up in the Discord. I do, but it just depends, right? Because the second they do that, it does look like they are endorsing you, maybe not sponsoring you, but definitely endorsing you. And so I'm just a bit disappointed in that. But we'll see. We'll see that could change. I would like to see how it goes in the future. Will you host any showcase games with big streamers landing on early access? Nope, they won't. They're not gonna pay any huge streamers to play the game during EA. They have no plans for that. If they want to come and play, they can come and play. That's up to them, and that's their own volition. I totally agree with that, actually. Um, but they're going to use the current large streamers and content creators in the Paragon refugee community. They're going to use them. So they're gonna have something to do, and that's going to be awesome. So we're going to see a little bit of early gameplay before December 1st, it seems. It's not going to be from anyone major. It's just going to be from your streamers that you already know, right? The ones that you consistently watch, like Mangoose. It's Mike might do it on Twitch, I'm sure, like stuff like that, right? So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. This does lead into the question marketing. Like, I don't expect any kind of I don't expect high levels of marketing. I don't like expect them to go what Overprime did and just drop like $5 million on marketing. Um, but I'm surprised that they seem to be going the route of they plan on doing no external marketing. What I mean by that is they only plan on doing marketing and the stuff that the community managers and their marketing team can do that are a part of Ameda Studios, meaning they're going to make a nice fancy post for Twitter and Facebook all that, right? And for Reddit, and that's it. That's all they're going to do. They're not going to go any farther. They're not going to pay a newspaper gaming company to do a post. They're not going to get it as a YouTube ad. They're not going to do anything like that. They're only going to do this stuff that doesn't cost them any extra money besides the labor behind it. So um, that's a weird take. I'm surprised they don't have any kind of level of that, but this is also a bit of speculation what I'm saying, but we'll see as it goes along. How will crossplay impact competitive play? If matchmaking works as intended, should be matched based on their skill set, independent of their platform input. Crossplay should happen, and it's going to be MMR based. I love that idea. I think crossplay is amazing. I really don't think limiting the base is good like that, especially considering if we follow the Paragon statistics or we follow the Smite statistics. 80% of the player base is going to be on console. It's just that simple. Imagine putting that, and then we're only left with the 20% on PC. That's just not fun for the PC players, man. So it's actually worse for us. Now I do understand that the average PC player is better than the average console player and all this stuff. But if their MMR works as intended, that shouldn't be a problem. So I'm excited for crossplay. I'm excited for when they go to console. I think it's going to be one of the greatest positives of the game. Will Predecessor have skill-based matchmaking? Yes, it will. It will have from day one, and yes, yeah, and they're going to keep going with it, and they're going to test it and do all this, and they're going to use the data from the skill-based matchmaking to get a stricter one for rank mode, which is pretty cool. So excited for that. Will the community have the chance to decide which 5 new heroes will appear during the access? No, it's up to the studio. It's up to Omeda. Understandable. They're the ones that make the decision. And guys, they're gonna do it off what the community wants to a certain extent, right? Like they have to fill out their base first, right? So we'll see. We heard that Countess is coming. Like, if you think about Countess, what is she? She's an AP assassin. Those don't exist in Predecessor at the moment. We already know who the 20 heroes are. So it makes perfect sense. They're going to fill out those little spots of those kind of hero types first, I would assume, and then move on. But we don't know, right? They might just, throw Wukong in because people like Wukong, even though, anywho. Um, is there any plan on Muriel's? Okay, we're just gonna skip that question. When is Wukong gonna grace us with with his presence? It's funny that I just mentioned Wukong. And, hey, whatever. He's not gonna be in the first 5 heroes, so he's at least 5 months out. Simple as that. All you Wukong players, stay strong. He's coming one day, guys. He's coming. Will mastery skins just be golden, or will they actually have unique elements based on the hero? There isn't. This isn't something we decided yet. We do plan to rework the mastery system, including its reward system, but that's a conversation for another day. So they're trying to keep the mastery system under wraps. They don't want to talk about it because they're not ready to talk about it. So I would expect a bit more news from that in the next 3 months. Is Huntress going to be among the first 5 heroes to be released in the early access? Yes. Original heroes on their way. First 5 months. We know she's an ADC now. We know she's similar to Samira. For anyone that knows who that is. I'm excited. I wonder what her last ability is in her passive. We don't know yet. I'm excited for the gameplay reveal trailer of her that I assume they would be making. So, yeah, there we go. How will you determine which new heroes are being released and when during development? Will you be rotating between roles or based on previous popularity? When determining the release order in a lot of elements, where filling out the roster in a healthy way and adding heroes to each role over time are just 2 of them. It's important that we also listen to our community, which heroes are like most, as well as how complex their implementations might be. So that was the same thing I was saying before. They're going to fill out the roster in the way that they think would be the best balanced and best healthy. Are we going to get new item icons? The current ones feel unfitting with Predecessor's artistic direction. Yes, we're planning to update our item icons, but currently focus on resources elsewhere. Will we revert to a card system and deck plating system? No, they're going to keep an item system. They want to go with it, that's just how it is. What game modes are you considering for the future? In the short term, we plan to add an AI mode so that players can play solo and co-op, as well as supporting custom games. Ranked will definitely find its way into Predecessor, and we are currently thinking about other competitive options which wouldn't require us to permanently split the queues. But nothing confirmed yet. Long term, we can't wait to explore other game modes like ARAM, but this will have to wait a little longer. They're going to add AI mode. It's kind of interesting. It seems like that's going to come sooner rather than later, which is kind of cool. And again, they mentioned custom games and they mentioned ARAMs, but that is going to be a little while as they don't want to split the queues right now. Will there be different movement speed to every hero or class? Yes, heroes have different movement speed values. Some heroes are faster than others. Wow, I surprised they went that route, but here we are. It's interesting. It's going to be cool. It is pretty nice for that stuff when you're like playing like a melee, for example. You expect them to have like slightly higher movement speed, but I'm sure it's all going to be relatively. Players in the tab screen be consistent like in League of Legends, or we'll be able to adjust the order of the characters on it. For now, it is consistent. We plan to rework the scoreboard in the future, but currently we do not plan to make it editable. So it's not going to be editable at any moment. But that's a nice quality of life feature. I've actually never thought of that myself, so I'm glad I'm reading this question. And it is consistent, so that's pretty cool. Will early access have skill casting options? Yes, they will have instant, quick cast, and normal cast. Just confirmed right there. We talked about it earlier. Will the game support voice chat? This isn't something that will be supported at the launch of early access, but is something we might consider in the future. So no VC, Discord exists at the moment, guys, so it is that. However, there is currently in Warzone proximity chat, for example, and it has turned out to be one of the greatest things, one of the greatest features added into that. So I hope to take a little bit of inspiration from them, and they do add some kind of something. As it really does elevate the game because it lets you communicate with your community, whether it's just them being. Will Mastery Crowns return? That's yet to be decided. We do plan to rework the mastery system, including its reward system, but we're not ready to share anything. So we're not sure if the crowning system is going to come back, but it does seem like they're going to have some kind of mastery system of their own. That's pretty good, but they will give more info in the future, and that's what they said. Beyond the announced bundles, how much will skins cost? The numbers are subject to change, give or take, but this is what they expect. A rare skins 6 to 800 coins, and epic skins 1300 to 1600 coins. Legendary skins 2500 to 3000. Um, that's a lot more than I thought it was going to be. Considering you do get 10,000 coins on launch if you buy the legendary bundle, and that's apparently discounted. So if we look at it that way, you only can get 3 skins at the legendary. Um, and if it's what is they say $86, I think they did. That means that $86 is 3 legendary skins in this game, which means that these skins are actually going to be $25, $30. Um, I'm surprised they're going to have skins that expensive in the game. They better be god tier, because otherwise people aren't going to buy them. Now, if the skin is amazing, people will buy it. It actually depends on the quality. If the quality matches the price, people won't care. People won't complain. They'll buy them. It won't be an issue. But if they don't, or if they're just re-releasing Paragon skins, I hope they're ready. I hope they're ready for that fight with the community. Um, what is the refund policy for early access? You can go check it on Steam. If for anyone that doesn't know, you can refund the game in the first 2 hours of playtime. Are able to earn in-game currency by playing the game. This is not something that will be available at the launch of early access. The feature will be added later alongside the in-game store. We have plans to reward players for playing during early access, which will be sharing very alongside a roadmap. They just announced a roadmap within that. So they're going to announce an official roadmap, it does seem. I got so close to my monitor because I got so excited there. But that is more what I'm excited about. The thing I do worry about that is when the second you have a roadmap, you commit to a timeline. And if you can't meet that timeline, it sucks, it looks bad, people lose faith in you. It's really just that simple. Whether it's understandable, logical, or not that you have these delays, you still lose faith. It's that some people don't follow every little detail about these games, so but they do see but they only see the announcements, which are delays. The game's coming out, super awesome, big features added, all this stuff. So, you if you commit to a roadmap, you're committing to a timeline, even if it's a give or take 6 months to get something finished. Be careful with that. Make sure you're able to do it, and don't be overconfident because you do have a lot of systems missing. And I know they're going to come, but just be careful. That's all I say. Um, yeah. But I do think a roadmap is perfect. I think that's pretty necessary. Will prices for bundles and in-game purchases be localized? Yes, it will be localized. Steam and Epic Games automatically has a recommended price localization pricing. It has actually recently increased, so what it used to be is it's actually more expensive, which is kind of unfortunate. I wish Omega would take the time to maybe look into it a little bit because there is some countries that they're paying 5 times the price of the game. Um, and be in their local currency, and I just don't think that's fair. And I know it's probably the equivalent of like 11 USD, even though the game's 10. Um, but I wish it should be a little bit. It should be the opposite, right? Like it should be 8 USD, and that's um, wish they would look into that a little bit more. But I know that's a lot of work, and Steam has a recommended one, which is pretty good overall, anyways. So. Past the first 25 we are receiving through the bundle are additional heroes going to be accessed through progression or in-game currency. Future heroes will be purchased via in-game currency earned by playing the game. In the future, a small selection will be unlocked through progression as part of onboarding. If you're a new player, they will give you a few for free with onboarding to get you really into the game, but after that, you will have to pay for it. Simple. It's the League of Legends model. Makes sense. They got to make money somehow. At some point, we have to understand that some stuff need to be paid for. It's just that simple. As a console player, can I purchase an early access bundle on Steam and transfer to console upon release? This isn't something we are able to confirm at this time, so for now you should play with the assumption that bundles bought on one platform cannot be transferred to another. We will support crossplay and plan to support crossplay progression. We will be unlikely to support crossplay progression cross-platform wallet functionality, meaning coins might not transfer across accounts as this is a mountainous task to achieve. We are still discussing it with the console platforms. So if you buy the game, you should be able to play it on anything, but your in-game currency isn't going to transfer, and they said that it is like a huge, huge task to make that happen. So they are looking at options to make it happen, but it's unfortunately like a ridiculous amount of work at the moment for something what it is. So it'll come, I'm sure, eventually, but they have to discuss their options first before they truly make a decision of where to go. If I purchase a bundle, I'm able to upgrade or downgrade to a different bundle in the future. Yes. You can't downgrade, but you can always upgrade. We've talked about earlier. What what can the coins in early access bundles be spent on? At the start of early access, you won't be able to spend your coins. So you give you coins you can't even spend. Oh my gosh, bro. Yeah. Do any bundles include additional game codes for friends? Unfortunately, this wasn't possible for early access due to platform policies. Steam got rid of friend keys, guys. They got rid of it. You used to be able to, and Steam said, no, 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 no. We done with that. It's gone. You can't do it anymore. So that's really unfortunate. It. I would love for that to happen, but that's it. That's it. They got to play with their policies that they have that they're tied down to. Will there be official asset packs or game keys for content creators? Currently, official asset packs and game keys are an exclusive perk of our growing content creator program. Yeah, and then they give you an email. Didn't see that. I'm gonna have to maybe look into that. You know what I'm saying? Have you noticed an avoid player system? Have you considered? Got it. This isn't something we are currently planning to implement, but it's something we will explore as part of ongoing work to improve our player reporting system. So you won't be able to avoid players. I think that's pretty normal. But if the game, I hope it's like kind of Call of Duty. If the population of the game, so if there's enough players, consistent enough players, they can start putting toxic individuals with other toxic people. So you end up in like a toxic queue or a Smurf queue and all this stuff. And that's what I hope happens over time. But until they get like actual good numbers and consistent numbers, they obviously just can't do that, right? So it's not something we should expect upon release. But if the game does actually grow, um, we should see that in the future, ideally. Will the predecessor website be updated with the list of heroes and their skills, as well as the item shop list? Not immediately, as we're currently very limited with what our website can support. That said, we work on a public API that will allow community build. So the website's not going to be updated for that stuff anytime soon, but they are going to make an API so that the community can do it themselves. Pretty that simple. Will you build character / world war in the predecessor? They've already started. Yes, they want to do that. They know it adds a bit of flavor to the game, and it's something so small, but it's just so cool, and it brings people back. And people don't understand like why lore is important. It gives people a reason to have a favorite hero. That's it. And they've already announced that Huntress hunts Countess, right? So that's what they're doing. So they can already see the lore is already starting, even if it is very minimal, and I'm excited to see what they do in the future for that. Can patch notes come with details and context as to why changes are being made? Of course, time and resources allowing, of course. We have every intention of sharing the insights behind future changes whenever possible. Hot damn. That's what I love to see. Long patch notes are the best patch notes, truly. Will there be some sort of replay feature where we can rewatch played matches from others' perspectives? Not the start of early access, but there's something that's actively being worked on. Oh, so it's already being worked on? That's pretty awesome. We will likely launch a spectator mode first, with replays not far behind. Understandable. We plan to share more on that soon. The replay system Paragon was super fantastic. You could just randomly jump in and watch a high-level player just game on people. Just game on. It's amazing. It was cool.